In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto New Barnfield and then make a U-turn.
Hi, today we're in deepest Herefordshire. I don't really know where I'm going. The car inbuilt GPS has brought me roughly to the right area, and now I'm going down what seems to be a no-through road, hoping I'm going to get close enough to where I want to be without having to walk too far. Now we've just come to a gate. It's an open gate, but the trouble with open gates is, will it still be open when I come out again? Won't be the first time I've got myself locked in. Anyway, I'm looking at it and I think, yeah, that gate's not been closed for some time. We'll risk it. It's getting very narrow, this road. It's now getting more like a cycle track than a road. It's so narrow. But there's been no signage to say it's a cycle track. Oh, here you go. There's like a pull in here on the side of the road. Looks like cars have parked here before now. Like where your dog walkers would come, I think. This seems an okay place to park. This military fencing on my right hand side, it's very secure. And I'm using, on my mobile phone now, I'm using maps.me, which is an app I came across in Uganda. Some other tourists told us about it. You download the app, you download the map for the area you're in, and then it works offline, so you don't use up data, you don't have to have a mobile phone signal. And in Uganda it made a huge difference. This detail on maps.me was fantastic. And in the national parks it showed every little dirt track, and we were self-driving, so it's become quite difficult to navigate at times. With maps.me it made it very much easier. So I've used this now all around the world, and in the UK I use a mixture. Sometimes I'm using Google Maps and sometimes maps.me. It's very useful. Anyway, I can see from maps.me that I want to go that way. It's probably only 200 meters. This military land apparently is the SAS headquarters according to this map. You would think for such a clandestine organisation it wouldn't be on a map, but anyway, I'm walking away from it. I'm going that way. Probably a good idea to stop filming while I'm so close to it though, so we'll switch this off. The bird I'm interested in is there. It's a red-throated diver. It's a long way out at the moment, but I'm just going to sit here on this bank and keep a low profile and keep still, and I would expect it to do a circuit. It's just going to keep swimming round and round, and I'll probably come to the edges when it's feeding. So I'll position myself where I'm up against some of this vegetation behind me. That way I won't be so noticeable to the bird when it comes in. The camera bag I'm using here is the Tamrac Expedition 9. Notice it's big enough to hold my telephoto lens with the camera body and the lens hood all attached, ready to go. All I've got to do is switch the camera on. I've always tried to have camera bags that are big enough to carry my main lens already assembled. Well, that went very well. The bird came in several times in half an hour. They're not great pictures because it's very grey light, but I've got something. I did notice that the eye tracking wasn't going onto the bird's eye. It was focusing on the bird's body. And then I remembered the last thing I'd been photographing was a weasel, which is a very fast moving mammal. So I tried to give myself the edge. I changed the focus to animal focusing. And I forgot to change it back again. But this is something I tested when I first bought the Sony A1. I tried it photographing deer with bird eye tracking, and it made no difference. It was going onto the deer's eye. And I tried it in reverse too, so I concluded it didn't really matter. But that isn't true. It does matter sometimes. And I noticed when I was doing a fox recently and I had bird tracking on, it didn't always lock onto the fox's eye until I changed it to animal. So it's a setting that's not vital because it usually works, but it's worthwhile setting. The time when it'll be difficult, when you're in Africa, photographing out the car window, you're doing a mixture there of mammals and birds and changing from one to t'other. That would be quite fiddly. There's a group of mute swans on the lake to give me a little bit of entertainment while I'm waiting for the diver. Slow motion video, 120 frames per second. The Sony A1 isn't always so good at autofocus in video mode, but it did hold on to it here. And here's the red-throated diver. Unfortunately, we've got grey skies, so we have grey water, and it doesn't really suit the pictures very well, although I find it more acceptable with video. It's when you're taking stills pictures I really don't like all this grey water. Video is a lot more tolerant. Sometimes you can have a very untidy background and even branches across the front of a bird, and it doesn't matter like it does in the stills picture, but I'd rather have it colourful. They really sink down low in the water, and they're only on the surface for a short while before they dive again. So I didn't actually get that many stills pictures, but this is on the first day. So here we are again. This is day 2. It's a totally different day. It's still cold, but the sun is now shining, but it wasn't shining first thing. But now that it is, and the wind has dropped a little bit, there's a beautiful autumny coloured reflection in front of me. If the bird would swim into that reflection, it's a drastically different picture to yesterday. I've always said this, you can spend a fortune on camera equipment and lenses. If you don't have the right light, you don't get good pictures. And then it's just a waiting game, waiting for that bird to swim into that colourful reflection. And as things always are, on the day when the water was grey, it spent a lot of time close to the shore. But once the sun was shining, it was very infrequent, and I had some very long waits. The bird's just been in, and I got some footage of it, and it came up with a fish, which I was quite happy with, but it didn't go into the colourful water. It's still in bluish water, but not that lovely autumn colour that's down there. And now that reflection has disappeared because the wind has built up, so we've gone back to sort of white greyish water now, so it's not so good. Also the sun is moving around, so probably another hour and then the sun will be at too much of an angle. I won't like the lighting. So this is day 3. Unfortunately I've got here a bit late this morning. Once you become an old wrinkly, you have an annual blood test, and today was the day. So I booked it for the earliest available appointment. I turned up early just in case they would do it sooner, and I'm there with my sleeve rolled up ready to be stabbed. But unfortunately it took time, and so I couldn't get here as early as I wanted, so I've now only got 2.5 hours before the sun will move around too far. 2.5 hours for that diver to swim from, it's about over 100 metres away, to swim into this lovely reflection in front of me. If it hadn't been a sunny day today, I wouldn't have come. It's got to have the colour in the water. The mute swans are not being so entertaining this morning. They're being a nuisance. They're not going to intimidate the diver, but they are spoiling the picture if he comes up in that reflection. And eventually he did come up, and with a fish. But I got no notice of this. Suddenly he was there, just popped up in the water. They can travel huge distances under the water, and very, very quickly. But this didn't happen very often, and in the end I only got video. I didn't have time to shoot stills pictures, and that's always a dilemma for me these days. I've now reached this stage where I shoot video first. If the bird's still there when I've finished, I take a few stills pictures. It used to be the other way round. Notice the upward tilt of the head. The bill is sloping upwards. This allows you to identify red-throated diver from black-throated diver at a distance. If I just show you a picture that I took some years ago of a black-throated diver, the bill is more horizontal. With red-throated divers, it's often pointing slightly upwards. And in the UK we do get some other divers too. During the winter months we'll get great northern divers and white-billed divers, but they tend to be larger and heavier billed. Thanks for watching.